November 18th, Police Station Building Committee meeting. We have a quorum. This meeting is called to order. First on the agenda, we have the minutes from last month. I believe that was August 21st. Any comments or discussion?
Move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from August 21st, 2023. I was not in attendance, so I will abstain since I wasn't part of that meeting.
It was very well run.
I'm sure it was. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that is approved unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have our monthly bills to pay. So this month, we have WB Mason, $1,247.28. Construction Monitoring Services, $40,000. Tecton Architects, $28,388. Fontaine Brothers, $399,064. Allied Testing, $660.63. Fit Equipment, $1,999. Strategic Spaces, $21,134.64. All American Flag Store, $560.40. And Colliers, $2,371, for a grand total of $495,424.95. Any questions or comments?
Make a motion, we accept.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the monthly bills and invoices. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. Thank you. And next up, we have Neil from Construction Monitoring Services. How are you, Neil?
I'm good, Pat, thank you. Budget update was issued as part of your information package prior to the meeting. We are currently showing total expenditures on the project at $34.66 million. We have roughly $2.34 million left to spend, 93% complete. We are getting very close on the consultants, myself, Matt, with Tecton, as well as the commissioning agent in terms of funds owed. We're getting very close to the end of the project as well, which is great. And a lot of the line items on project expenses that are showing balances due will most likely be unspent. So I think from a budget standpoint, we're in very good shape. And I'd be happy to take any questions that the committee may have regarding the budget update.
I'm always so glad to hear that, that we're in very good shape. Any questions? Nothing on the budget, Neil.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, we have Matt Salad from Tecton Architects. How are you, Matt?
Doing well. Good evening, everybody. I don't have a slide deck for you tonight because we're pretty much nearing the end here, and what it looks like this month is what it's going to look like next month, more or less. So I figured that was sort of a moot point at this point. So as far as the architectural components of the building that are left remaining, we're just finalizing the last little bit of back punching for the building. Fussin O'Neill was out after the dedication ceremony last week and did their back punch for all the site features. We're just awaiting that summary report from them to sort of see where we stand with remaining. We've also provided an updated sketch for some miscellaneous last-minute coordination between the landscaping and a few trees that needed to have their locations changed and things like that because of existing conditions and the like. So that's being coordinated now. There's a little bit of ongoing change order work that had been approved over the past few months, so that as that work wraps up, we'll punch it out and get that completed. A majority of the furniture pieces that were ordered by change order over the past few months arrived last Friday, I believe, last week. So that should take care of the bulk of them. There's a couple of miscellaneous pieces that were added onto over the months following, so we're just waiting on the shipment and delivery dates on those pieces, but for the most part, we're just about complete on all that as well. So happy to take any questions you have, but other than that, we're in really good shape to close this thing out here in the next few weeks or a couple months.
Thanks, Matt. Any questions, Donna?
I just have a question about the trees.
Sure.
Along the far driveway, there's two different types of trees. What are they?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
The
right
quiz.
I could tell you in a second. Not right now, though. Not off the top of my head.
And I'm just curious why you decided to put two different kinds of trees there versus one, because on the other side, there's all one type.
So when we discussed this early on, when we added the trees there, we didn't want all one type in case down the line you have like a different type of Asian longhorn beetle. So like instead of all 10 trees on either side being wiped out, you have, we were just trying to hope that something stays if there's another disease that attack or goes after them. So I think part of the note that Matt had mentioned earlier about moving some of the trees around is there wasn't perfect continuity on the alternating pattern on both sides. So the number of trees is correct, but the pattern isn't perfect. So obviously the landscaping isn't complete there, and just with the rain we've had today and the end of last week, the landscapers are going to be back the end of this week to push through the rest of that. So that'll be part of the work that they do while they're there.
I was curious, the trees look like they're different heights, and I just wondered as they grow and mature, how that will look.
Yeah, so they're all within the same caliper range, but each tree has a range. It's probably from like 2 to 4 gallons or whatever the inch the sizing is. So they're all within the same range, and they should even out as time goes on. And I believe the tree types we selected, they aren't like oak trees that grow 40 or 50 feet
No.
tall. They're like more.
Aren't they flowering? Didn't we?
Yeah,
Choose
that
flower
sounds
trees?
reminiscent. So that's
Yeah.
just the style of trees. So it's not like one's going to be shooting up at 40 feet and the other one
Well, that's
will
what-
eternally be
Because when you
behind.
look
Yeah.
now, it looks like it's a shrub in between trees, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to be sure it wasn't.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Donna. Anything else for Matt? Nope. All right, thanks, Matt. And next we have Ryan, who already started for us with the trees.
Yep. Yeah. So as I
Something
mentioned,
does.
we're going to be wrapping up the the landscaping in the next week or so here, and then they'll just have maintenance cleaning up, that they owe through the fall. Amarillo wrapped up the bulk of their work in the past couple of weeks. As everyone's seen, they just have some miscellaneous site signage as well as whatever punch list items they have left open, a couple small pieces of change order work. So that's wrapping up well. Steve and I were here on Saturday wrapping up a lot of the last interior punch list stuff, just scuffs, different things that we needed to clean up. So in the next week or so, we'll be wrapping up that work. We also have the town hall signs. We set the new foundations for those last week. We're just waiting for the concrete on that to set up, and we'll set those signs up, and you can see the sonotubes and everything underneath them right now. So we're going to be enclosing all that so it with a white AZEK material, siding material, so it all looks nice and clean. We'll get some plants planted in there to kind of fill out similar to what they looked like before. But we just wanted a matching appearance on both of those, and the old bricks was kind of falling into disrepair, and just a cleaner look is what we worked through with Keith and Bill Tuttle and everyone in town hall. So that's not a complete yet. We're not just going to plop the town hall signs back on there and
Yep.
walk away. So that's a work in progress, just letting the concrete set on that. So other than that, we're just wrapping up some of the last issues. Still have some items to work through, but we're closing in on them quickly. Working on getting all of the O&M manuals and closeout documentation to Keith and Bill, just so they have all the information they need. As in the next year, we transition from warranty items to maintenance items.
And the hydro seeding in the Grove area, when's that
Yeah,
scheduled?
that'll be as they clean up. So obviously the rain today, they gotta dry everything out. So probably the end of this week, hopefully Thursday, Friday, because it looks like it's gonna start raining again next week.
Yep.
So the major planting they have left is in the detention ponds, the one on the back of the town hall side, the front of the town hall side, and then that second exit pond. They're gonna be adding drainage or adding plantings in there as well too.
Okay.
So that's the majority of what's left for them.
John?
Other than assuming that everything will be done by the end of this year,
Yep.
assuming other than the planting and so forth,
So the plantings will be done this
done?
fall.
So we
Yep.
only have to worry about is the growth for next year?
Yes.
Basically, all the punch lists will be completed?
Yep.
All the other items will be done, completed, so we'll just have to.
Yeah, so
Last
typically
year.
we'll do a 1 year warranty walk on the plantings, and any trees or anything that don't survive, we'll have those replaced.
The items that were on Texton's last list, so all those will be addressed?
Yep, yeah, so.
The generator for the town hall, is that still open, or is that
Still open.
still open? So we're, hopefully
on-
we'll get that resolved this year?
Yep, it's with the insurance companies now. They're working on it.
Yeah, yep.
Donna?
I have two questions. Where the brick is on Maple Ave, and it looks like a shrub in the middle now with some plants.
Brick is on, oh, yes, yeah, the half moon area.
The half
Yes,
moon,
yep.
yeah. So were you able to take care of covering the brick with something to prevent the weeds from coming through?
I haven't addressed that with the landscaper yet, but we'll look at that again before they leave and make sure
All right,
that's.
I was cruising the back of the police station, new driveway
Sure.
and the parking lot, and it looks really nice, but I'm curious, will there be any signs there to let the public know that that driveway is basically an emergency exit or?
So they put the bollards up there. I don't know if you saw those when you drove through. So we're gonna have a chain across it, and we'll just put like a PVC pipe with reflective tape there. And I don't believe they have a signpost there, but we could work with DPW to get a signpost there.
What made me think of it was that there was a woman walking, and it was a really nice place to walk. You know, it's smooth, it's the better paved area in the whole section. But I just want people to be aware that in an emergency, there could be something coming towards them, that's all. Because
Yeah.
it would be unusual. Most likely, they wouldn't be there anyhow, but just,
Yeah, and it seemed like when I was here Saturday, there was a bunch of a lot of soccer and baseball or whatever was going on over there. There's a lot of people parking in that area, and everybody kind of seemed to have cleared out around that entrance. So I think just people's habits are kind of kicking in with that, and it didn't seem like people were tending to want to drive down there and park along there. So I think there's a general I don't know, people pick up on stuff, so I think that's kind of working in our favor with that. So it didn't seem to be an obvious problem.
and where the gate is that all like reasonably secure as far as what your expectation would be?
So the gate itself has a locking latch on it. So the thought was that the quartermaster with the department would put a padlock on it and have it all keyed, so every cruiser has that key in the cruiser. So it could be unlocked in an event where it needs to be utilized. So all I know from my point of view, it seems as though the department is happy with the level of security that has.
Thanks.
Anything else? No? Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, which brings us to change order number 18. I think we all have a copy of that here. Who's taking that?
I'll get it.
All right.
So, in your package, there should have been both the AIA form as well as the memo from us that summarized the items.
Yep.
I'll just walk through it quickly. Last month, we spoke about the additional interior signage. This was the two raised emblems, one in the training room, one outside the Detective Bureau on the second floor, as well as the raised lettering above the dispatch transaction window identifying it as the communications center. $12,976.95. PCO 145 is the original contract included replacement of selected areas of the sidewalk up and down Maple Avenue in front of the station. What this does is it basically took out anything that was left behind and created one uniform bituminous walkway, inclusive of the replacement of the handicapped accessible ramps at each of the driveway locations between the far east side of Town Hall and the west side of the police station. So it created just a uniform sidewalk throughout the whole expanse of the project. That was $25,924.94. In addition to those two additional PCOs, there were two credits that are provided. One is for costs not incurred as they relate to the added sink in the administrative suite. So that was a credit of $12,900 back to CM contingency, as well as the excess soil allowance that was included in the second exit gravel parking lot at the rear of the site in the amount of $11,250. So the net change proposed for change order 18 is an add of $14,751.89, which is proposed to be funded through CM contingency, so there's no change to the GMP associated with this. I'll be happy to take any questions.
And Neil, that's a change from the original change order in terms of the signage, because wasn't that originally coming out of the owner's contingency?
It was.
So what
It
happened?
was an owner request, but
I'm-
we asked Ryan if they could cover it under the CM contingency, and he agreed.
Just with the return from the second, from the sink.
Okay.
Sink change, I just thought an apples to apples. And the one other thing is, with the bituminous sidewalk, is we had previously discussed this, I believe it was in the July meeting, we'd given an order of magnitude at $25,000, and I apologize, I wasn't able to get the paperwork from Amarello and Marguerite for last month's meeting. And we did the work before it came to, so that wasn't out of malice or trying
No,
to hide anything,
that-
but we wanted to get that in before the kids got back to school, so that was, we were pushing them hard to get that done, so that's why the paperwork was to follow for that.
Okay. Any questions? No, that makes me very happy. All right, so no more discussion on change order 18? Do we have a motion?
Move we approve change order
Second.
18.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve change order number 18. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted unanimously. And then the second item, this is something I brought. Review and discussing adding additional planters or bollards on site. So when I saw the site, when I've been to the site, I just keep seeing the long runway from here down to the building. And then I see the sidewalk where the front door is, and it just concerns me that you can really build up some speed there if somebody wants to. And if somewhere right in front of the door, not in front of the door, but towards the end where the sidewalk use out, if we could put something there to prevent a vehicle from crashing through.
Sure. So, I'll just quickly walk through what we have and what we can do. There's sort of a million ways to go about adding additional bollards or planters and things like that, so it's really more of an open discussion, and then we can come back either in the interim between this meeting and next month's, with some design options, or next month we can probably have something that's ready to approve. So the area we're talking about in question is that highlighted spot right there.
Right there, yeah.
The cow's tongue of the main entry, so to speak. We do currently have, so the whole front of the building is a pattern of the concrete planter beds and then the bollards that have a lit dome on the top of them. I just wanted to show a detail of those bollards. So these are actually rated. I don't know off the top of my head exactly what they're rated for, but there's something like a fully loaded pickup truck at like 60 miles an hour can take an impact on this without going through the bollard. So we're not as the designer concerned about a vehicle impacting beyond that point. We're pretty confident in what we have here to stop it. But for further protection of the sidewalk in the front and into the parking stalls, I think it would make sense to add a little bit more protection there for pedestrians and certainly redundancy, right? Single point of failure is something to be good to be protected against. So what I wanted to highlight here, though, is the detail that we have for those bollards. And if we were to increase the quantity of bollards and whatnot, that's a 4-foot section of concrete below the surface that's tied with rebar and attached to the actual steel bollard itself. So it all acts as one giant 4-foot ballasted bollard of concrete. So in order to add those out here, we would basically have to pull out all the sidewalk. And you'd probably have to put in some temporary shoring to dig down the 4 feet to get the foundation in grade established and then make that pour and such. So very expensive option to go down that route. Not impossible. I'm sure Ryan's stressing out about it.
No, I mean, because the thing is, if we go really anything other than the center of the cow's tongue, just in an ideal world, to get to that depth, we would probably just have to use like a vac truck and vac the material out to not have to minimize the over excavation, and then just not even form it, just that rebar, fill the hole with concrete.
Without having otherwise you're gonna start undermining the pavement.
The pavement, that's the concern, especially with new asphalt there, is, having to cut it, open it up, patch it, just, it never looks the same.
Right,
so.
right.
So obviously the other option is going with like a concrete planter. They come in various sizes, shapes, decorative features, colors. Fill them with some soil, some mulch, and then put some more plantings in there and help even soften the edge a little bit more as you approach the station.
And that would sit on top of the
And that can
concrete.
sit on top of the concrete pavers and essentially just anything you can think of. The paving cross section will support. You think about very similar paving cross section to what the generator is sitting on. So I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue to put a planter on there. And a couple of these will do enough that if somebody is going at speed between the granite curb, a concrete planter bed with some plantings in it, and then the bollard beyond.
Right.
That's sort of three things that are going to disrupt that vehicular
Yeah.
flow. And
That sounds good, because what my concern is, somebody hits that curb at we call it the cow's tongue, and then a truck or whatever the vehicle is gets airborne, hits the pavement, bounces over the plant. I mean, I know this is an extreme thing, but it could happen.
yeah,
I
right.
watch movies.
And then gets right to, and then gets right to.
Especially with the bad guy surfing on the hood of the car and launches himself onto the second floor into the chief's office.
I know it's worst case scenario, but
Yeah, no, that level of redundancy, I appreciate greatly. And that's why you'll see things like on this bottom left image here, why the planters are so close to the curb line, one, to increase the pedestrian flow beyond it, but also to take that sort of bounce off the curb and be right there to catch the hood of, or the grill of the vehicle.
I actually like the look of those precast ones. You put one on each corner, and I think you'd be good. And you still keep the sight line heading down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the thing is you want to make sure whatever you do, you're not swinging car doors into it. So you just have to be careful, like quantity wise, how many you could put there, because it might be more two might be tight with the, like if you have an SUV with back doors, swinging into that for either side there would be the only thought.
Could you go back to the photo of the site itself? The one in between there?
One forward.
Yes. So the plantings that are in those beds are perennials. Is that correct? So I'm assuming they will get
Continue
to a
to
much
grow.
larger, mature size. So I think part of it is like the visual on the sight line. You're driving straight at the front door of the police station. And I think that when those plantings are mature, that will break up that kind of unnatural sight line. Like, when you pull in your driveway, you're not pulling up to your front door, you're pulling off to the side, or,
Right.
but here you're driving straight towards it. So I think that, maybe some of the concrete planters, but I think that the plantings that are there existing, when they're mature, it will help that a lot.
It will soften the look of everything.
Yeah.
Yes, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Won't stop a truck.
Yeah.
Just had one thing, like my thought is have the planters here.
I,
Further, but I don't know if the sidewalk's wide enough for ADA to allow that.
Is that an 8-foot sidewalk?
It probably is. Yeah, 'cause that's a pretty wide sidewalk right there. So
Where are the ADA ramps?
There's one just off to the right.
Is there one to the left as well?
No,
It's
way,
all the way
All the
down.
handicap
by the
spaces are to
memorial.
right. Okay.
Yep.
Donna?
Where the piece is that comes forward, to the left and right of that, is it a parking space? I can't remember.
Yep.
So my question is, if a car were driving, they're not gonna not see that sticking out, right? They can see it.
Yes.
It's obvious. So when you go to those planters, everybody, was saying, should you put 2, should you put 3, whatever. They probably have different sizes where you could just put one good size one as opposed to multiple ones.
If you did like a rectangular one.
Right.
And put it parallel with the direction of the cow's tongue, you could do something like that too.
This term cow's tongue, I'm unfamiliar with it.
Oh, I'm just calling it that because it kind of looks like a cow's tongue sticking
What
out.
does
Yeah.
cow tongue look like?
So like they call,
What? What's wrong?
there's a lot of, it's a construction term, like they have like the overflows for roof drains on the roof, the pipe that comes out the cover, the escutcheon that goes over it, they call that a cow's tongue too, so it's just, I don't know.
And is a cow's tongue not a little oval thing? Is it
Eh,
square and split?
I've never seen one.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's not a snake tongue, no.
Oh, so it's just a term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a
Okay.
term.
So I think if you get the right size, you don't need multiple ones, you just need one decent sized one that looks good, that serves the purpose.
So does everybody agree, number one, that we should have something there, or am I just being too extremist?
No, I probably watch the same movies, I think it's good.
Okay, so from there, I think, if there were a couple designs options for next month with, cost estimates.
Okay.
So I think just the one clarifying thing is that you guys want a freestanding planter instead of a ball or
I
like
think the
that.
planter makes more sense from a
Yeah.
cost standpoint,
Yeah. it
and
would.
aesthetically probably,
Yeah.
too.
Do you have does your landscaper have a vendor that we can get through them?
We can talk
We'll
about
talk
it,
about
yeah, we can figure out what the best way to do it is. It's probably just find what you want and then whatever the least painful accounting way to do it.
Based on these images, I know, Pat, you had a preference to the bottom left one. Anybody else have so these are sort of just the basic options. They're sort of the long, skinny planters that you can gang together on the top left. You can do a series of sort of drum style, which are the top right. That middle one, it has a built-in bench within it. And then the bottom right one is just another version of a sort of drum style with a tapered bottom. Or the bottom left one, which is square and more decorative with those classical profiles.
Kevin?
I like what Ryan, I think, was saying. If you had a longer rectangular one, like in the top left, that went down the center of that extended sidewalk, I think it should match as close to the plain concrete features of the other planter boxes as much as we can get there.
Okay.
And I think if it's substantial, those look to be 5 to 6 feet long. If you get enough soil or whatever, we can put in the bottom of it.
Can always pin them into.
I'm
the
okay with that,
too.
yeah.
You can just call STI, we just call it precaster at that point and precast them.
Yeah.
So that'd be your most cost effective and quickest option.
Small septic tank.
Yeah.
No cover.
All right,
All right.
well, we'll look at the different options. Thank you.
I got my marching orders. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. That brings us to,
Pat, one other.
oh, yes,
If you-
Neil,
If you
yes.
would indulge me, in the chief's absence, he approached the team last week. As you may or may not be aware, in many of the offices throughout the station, there are large monitors that are on the wall. We've spoken of them and modified them to allow projection from desktops and whatnot in the past. Part of what they would like to do with those monitors is to have information such as officers' schedules, response information from their CAD system, which is run out of the dispatch center, available to display on those monitors so that people that are working, that might be in the office, have an idea of where the resources are throughout the community, as well as who's on duty, et cetera, et cetera. In order to do that and to sort of manage the information that's displayed on those monitors, it requires an element of technology that we're not completely sure that we have in the station right now. And I say that because it's not dissimilar from what we're doing with the digital sign outside of Town Hall. What we don't know is whether that sign package can handle it, but we do have a quote from an outside vendor who would manage everything at the police station. It is not inexpensive. It's about $30,000 for the computer system, software, licensing, and content manager, if you will, to project on those screens. At this point in time, I'm not comfortable to sit here and say to you, we absolutely need it, but it's looking like we're gonna need it. So what I'd like to do is ask for the committee's consent to move forward with the order, should we finish our due diligence and come to the successful, if you will, conclusion that the system is required, and then we would move forward with that vendor hopefully within the next 30 days to move that forward. If you would indulge that request, we'd like to move that forward.
Keith?
One thing that Neil may not know, so our business analyst is working with IT and the police department right now. We may already own a system. Honestly, I think we should wait before we ask for funds to move that forward, because it may already exist, and she's well-versed in the other software we have. So I think we ought to let her do the due diligence before we move forward, because again, it may already exist within the town, not necessarily in the police department, but.
Donna?
It makes sense, but I have a couple of questions about it. What would it show besides their schedule?
There's a system that's called CAD, C-A-D, and it's an image of the city, and it shows where a call comes in and what resources are being dispatched to that location.
Okay, so the second part of my question is, they can select what monitors show this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it sounds like from and I don't know a whole lot about this, but I'm just speculating, from a crisis management standpoint, if they have that information in front of them, crisis comes up, that it's quicker probably and easier to deploy resources to where it's needed if they know where everybody is.
Right.
That's what it sounds like to me. I'm sure the chief can explain it much better in more detail.
Right.
But what I would like to see, given this information, is number one, find out, do we own that technology within the town?
Yes.
Number one. Number two, do we have that technology within the sign company?
Right.
Or can that be enhanced through that vendor so that we did have that technology?
Right.
And number three, if we have to go to another vendor, are they the only ones who do that, or is that something where we need to go out and get bids?
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what the cost difference might be, but it doesn't, I mean, I'm not one to spend $30,000 just on one bid.
Right.
So if we can,
Like I said, we'll follow. I know that was a conversation that the chief had largely done sort of outside of this team.
Sure.
I know he talked to the vendor, and I know he obtained a quote, and he presented it to us.
Mhm.
And I said, well, I just want to make sure we don't already have that capability within the systems
Right.
that we've purchased for the station already.
Right.
But again, in his absence tonight, I wanted to bring it up and at least advise the committee of it. And if
Sure.
it makes sense to hold off, we can certainly hold off, but that request is forthcoming.
so I think at this point, Donna, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, to save time, once Keith has that information, if he shares it with Neil, then Neil would know whether to go forward or not, instead of waiting for the next meeting to do it.
And you can always contact us, because within the charge of the committee, Kevin, Keith, and I can approve a
Right.
change up to, I believe it's $30,000, I think was the
Okay.
number we had.
That works.
So we can always go forward that way, and then I would
Yep.
let the rest of the committee know, and then we can formalize it at the next meeting.
That works for me.
All right.
May I?
Joe?
Just a clarification on the CAD. It sounds like you're talking about the CAD system for incident reporting for the police.
Yes.
Probably similar to fire. What they do is you can buy add-on modules, and I don't know what they use for a CAD system, what the police or fire, if they're using the same, or if they're mixing and matching, but you can buy modules. And basically, I don't know what the purchase is, probably up to the 30,000. Get it onto those monitors so you can view incident response, location, things like that. Now, I don't know, I know you're talking about putting things on the signboard. That sounds like it could be a separate,
That's a separate software.
yeah.
The idea is you're projecting either a static or a dynamic image to remote monitors.
Yeah.
Not unlike what we're doing with the digital sign that's out front, right? So it's a similar concept. It's just a question of whether or not, you know, the one system we have could be expanded to include that, and if so, at what cost? Again, we're trying to just make sure we're not unnecessarily spending, and we've got two systems that are capable of doing the same thing.
Yep.
That's all.
Okay.
And
So we're-
Joe, given your experience, a little bit of experience with these, I don't know how much it is that, what is the purpose of these? What are they?
So like on the fire side,
Yeah.
we had monitors out by the apparatus floor or in different areas of the
Yeah.
station. So if there was a call that came in, before they announced it, it would come up on the screen saying that there was, you know, a call for an ambulance at such and such location. So you get the information beforehand, then the dispatch would notify the duty crews
Okay.
and dispatch them out to the location.
Okay, so
as they-
it kind of enhances dispatching then?
Yeah, it does. Or if an officer, like on the police side, if an officer's going out from the back of the station into their cruiser, if there's a status board and they kind of get bits and pieces of information, it might come up on the screen, give you location, incident type, whether it's an assault or whatever's going on at the location. And they're able to get that information a little bit quicker as they're going out the door.
Is there an annual operating cost associated with these software systems?
Oftentimes, yes. In this particular instance, I can't say for sure, because we never got by the, okay, it's $30,000, we understand, but let's look into it and make sure we don't already own it. That was kind of where we stopped things.
Okay.
There's usually a maintenance cost that goes with it. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, but as you add modules on, it gets a little more expensive, but it's not outrageous.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe. Any questions? No?
That's all we got.
So I guess we'll just can wait for more information on that. All right?
I have one more question.
Oh, sure.
Not related to that.
Sure, go ahead.
Did you not have any meetings? We didn't get any minutes from
I had no update
the
last
weekly
week.
meetings?
Weekly update.
We didn't get an update last week.
Good catch. So that will be forthcoming then, I assume.
Yep.
All right.
I have a couple things too, Pat. Just
Sure, go ahead.
the new stuff to give the committee some information. Two things that we're working on. One is looking at aerating and overseeding the Sacred Acre so that in the springtime it somewhat matches the rest of the property with the new grass. It won't be perfect, but we're working on that. Parks Division Manager Kevin Esposito is putting that together with contractor, and we're going to do it as the town, not with the contractor. So that might be coming next month for additional costs. And then the other one is there are two plaques that need to go on the 9/11 sculpture. One is the remembrance plaque, and then there'll be another plaque on the side that includes a thank you to Aspen Valley and their students, and list their names and stuff like that.
Of course,
So,
yeah.
so we'll see that next month. Both of them, I think, are fairly small amounts of money, but just wanted to give the committee a heads up.
Okay. Thank you. Donna?
Relating to the Trade Center monument, the base, the students were telling me the base wasn't big enough. Has that been fixed?
We'll
Ryan's-
be fixing that in the
Ryan's
next
working on it.
couple of weeks. Don't ask me how it got screwed up, but we will fix it.
The students were great. They were explaining everything.
Oh yeah, I got the whisper in my ear too.
I'm
so.
glad they caught it. All right, anybody have anything else?
Punch list.
God,
No?
we'll be out there
Okay.
with the cement mixer.
Meeting schedule, we have October 23rd. Sounds like it'll be fairly busy. And then November 20th, and we're back into the holiday season. Amazingly. Anybody have anything else?
Just unrelated, I will not be at next month's meeting.
Okay,
I'm gonna be hiking in the desert, so
all right,
apologize for that ahead of time, but I'll make Tyler come in my absence.
okay.
Sounds awful.
Wear your sunscreen.
Huh?
Wear
Yeah,
your sunscreen,
yeah, well, but by the summer they've had out there, I should bring my swimming shorts.
really.
Exactly, yeah. All right, if there's nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.